I'm Anna,
And I'm Fran.
and you're listening to Murder Words. Welcome back to Murder Words. You didn't say it with me that time.
I'm sorry.
You were just watching.
I was waiting for the eye.
Creepily watching.
I was waiting for the eye
For the
contact.
signal.
For the signal with your eyes to tell me, like, hey, it's time for you to check in.
Okay, I'll know next time.
You should, because we've been
We'll
doing
have
this.
like a
it's
secret word.
It's like our 17th episode, so you should.
It really is. Okay.
17 times, Anna. You still,
I know.
we still haven't nailed the intro.
One day we're going to listen back and be like, we were like coming out of COVID at that time and our sound was terrible and
Trucks went by.
trucks are going by. Hopefully the dogs don't bark during this.
Coffee maker.
Anyway, this week's story, it might be a shorter episode. I'm not sure, but I've been wanting to do this one for a while. I told Fran like bits and pieces of this one in the like when we first started, just because I really like the people in it, like the ones who are victims. Like I connect with them.
Okay.
I don't know why. So it's called Corpsewood Manor.
What?
That's the name of the story
Corpsewood Manor.
and the place.
Corpsewood Manor.
Corpsewood Manor. Yes.
Who thought of... Okay, go ahead.
I'm going to explain
Okay,
the
all right,
whole story
cool.
about it. So, Dr. Charles Scudder was born October 26, 1926. He was literally brilliant. I'm not going to like go over childhoods or anything just because it's not really relevant.
Prevalent.
Yeah. He studied at the University of Wisconsin and Loyola's School of Medicine. He got degrees in zoology, language, and chemistry, and then went and got his PhD in pharmacology.
What?
So
he's animals...
Like, he reminds me of Reed.
Oh, yes.
Criminal Minds.
Yes. So he can do medicine.
Mm-hmm.
He does animals.
And then language is just
Language.
randomly in there.
Randomly language. What's the other one?
Chemistry.
And chemistry. What was he trying to be when he grew up?
He is, well, when he graduated with his PhD, he got a job as the associate director and also a professor for Loyola University of Chicago Institute for Minds, Drugs, and Behavior.
See, what I was thinking was he was trying to drug up animals to see if he can communicate with them. That was my thing. Like he was going to drug animals, like LSD.
Not cool. Oh, dude,
Like
he's
LSD.
an LSD person.
Oh,
yes,
woo, I did it.
but not with animals.
Oh, see, I thought the zoology, like he was trying to get animals to get high to talk to him.
No, so he worked with like government-funded LSD experiments, like back in the day. So at this point, we're in the 70s, like when he's working.
So yes, LSD highlight.
They're trying to figure out like what it does, like what kind of reaction people have, like
Military purposes of it.
Basically like figure out, you know, what it is. I'm sure it was quite strong.
I'm sure they
Very pure.
probably figured,
So-
it sounded like they were trying to make a weapon. Like how
Yes.
could they make a weapon out of this?
So he was described as super eccentric. He would often have different color hair and
Really?
yes, he had a pet monkey. So he was just like a professor with like purple hair.
With a monkey.
So with a monkey, yes.
He had a special order of that too. You couldn't just go to like the penny store and pick up some dye.
Yeah.
Purple dye.
He lived in this big mansion in Chicago. It was said to be a pretty rough area, but he loved it because it provided him with an area to like be creative and basically do all the stuff he wanted to do, which was a lot.
Yeah,
of
I can
different
tell.
stuff. Some of it included painting, making stained glass windows, and playing the harp.
Okay.
His harp, he was an extra, which is why I think I really liked him a lot too, because I'm extra. His harp was like this big giant golden one.
Oh my gosh.
And he was so good. He taught himself, and he was so good that he was invited to play at the Chicago Symphony Orchestra.
Wow.
So, no big deal or
That-
anything.
Wow. So was it made of real gold or like just gold plated?
Oh, it didn't really say. It was just talking about pretty much like how extra it was.
Okay.
So, and I really think, like I said, this is like the start of where I started to connect with him when I heard this story, because I was like,
He sounds super cool so
he
far.
sounds cool, and he
Yeah.
sounds like I'm like one of those people who gets on a hobby and then I get really into it and then I just like switch.
Just chuck it. Yeah, me too.
So he was like a pharmacologist.
That's weird, right?
Just yeah, so he was like at a super fancy school and just didn't fall into the social norm.
I could see why.
Which I liked.
Yeah, okay, I can see why.
He had a housekeeper and a cook named Joey Odom. He was 12 years younger than him, and he was said to be Dr. Scudder's partner.
Okay.
He had Joey in his house, like living with him for what's going on. He was married twice before and had 4 children. Dr. Scudder did, but that's also not really relevant to the story. So
okay,
but he did have previous marriages. So from what I can like read, I think him and Joey had like an open relationship.
Okay,
like they were together, but
okay.
I just saw that in some places.
It was the 70s. So. They were doing LSD.
It was the 70s. They were doing LSD. So, and also, they couldn't really be open at that time about being homosexual and like being who they really were. So,
right.
And they end up moving here soon to the South.
Oh wow!
Make a move.
It's going. Yep. Not gonna happen.
Yeah. Joey was the opposite of Dr. Scudder. He had a 5th grade education level. But he taught himself how to cook and how to do things around the house, which he loved.
Oh.
Loved doing it, was like a chef.
Okay.
So even though it was like an opposites attract kind of situation.
Okay.
You could definitely tell, like, they loved each other. This is like a love story almost. It almost reminded me of, like, I don't know how to explain it, but
Okay,
yeah.
I'll try to figure it out towards the end.
Yes. So... along with Joey, they also had 2 humongous English Mastiffs.
I just knew you were going to say dogs.
Yeah, lived in the house with them. Another thing that caught my eye about Dr. Scudder, that sounded weird, my interest with Dr. Scudder, is that when people asked him about religion, he would openly say, "I'm a Satanist."
What? That's super different.
That's very different. And I want to take a minute to kind of like talk about this because I went on the Church of Satan website and I was kind of trying to read about it, and because I did watch a documentary a couple years ago. Mm-hmm. And so Satanism is not the worship of Satan. They are actually atheists.
Okay.
So from what I was reading, it was kind of like the worship of themselves. Like they don't even believe Satan is real.
So why did they choose Satanism?
So I think...
Wouldn't it be like selfism?
I don't know if this is like correct.
Okay.
And I don't want to offend anyone, but I think they call themselves Satanists as a form of rebellion.
That's what I was saying. They're just being brats about it.
Yeah, I don't know about brats, but I think it's just like like they are trying to make a point. Like you can't judge a book by its cover. The website was actually really interesting. Like it had this big section of like frequently asked questions.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry if you guys can hear my dogs running. So, yeah, if you have questions about it or want to learn more, like, go to that website because it's very interesting. It's very, like, informative, and I learned a lot. I don't want to say anything else about it. I just think there's a big stigma around Satanism because of the name.
Well, they did it on purpose.
More than anything.
That's the thing. Okay, I'm going to interject real quick.
Okay.
Because I feel like they did it just to be the out group. Like, they purposely made themselves an out group.
I don't know how they started. I probably should have read that part, but...
Probably just be like, to instill fear and be like, hey, this radical thing we're doing, instead of just being like, hey, we don't believe in anything.
And the worst part is this is getting into like the satanic panic movement.
Yeah.
So it makes it worse.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and this definitely comes into play later.
Yeah, I
when
can imagine.
everything goes down.
I can imagine.
So after working at that job for a long time, Dr. Scudder was starting to get frustrated with like the politics of the university he was at, the busyness of city life. He said like his medical students were becoming unruly.
Oh.
So, and he also like there was a part of him that just wanted to be him. Like he didn't want to have to hide any parts of himself. He wanted to be able to express
Inhibited.
himself openly.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted to connect with the earth. He wrote an article in 1981 for Mother Earth News, and it was talking about his experience and what prompted him to make his move that we're about to talk about. He said he had a good job, but, quote, as soon as I get home each evening, I'd change into my old, not clean or mended jeans and muddle around in the garden, finding there the only real moments of satisfaction left in my urban life. I was even pleased with the city's wildlife, the rats, when they drank from my garden pool at night. So
he's like a professional hippie.
yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much.
I can see that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That'd be hard.
it would be hard. So he decided that he wanted to get some land somewhere in the country and build his dream home.
Okay.
After months of searching, Dr. Scudder and Joey bought 40 acres in Chattanooga County, Georgia. This property was only accessible by an old logging road, which is exactly what they wanted, like to live off the grid.
Okay.
It was completely surrounded by national forest land. On his 50th birthday in 1976, Dr. Scudder officially resigned from his job. He auctioned off most of his stuff and told people he was going off to build his dream home in nature, and Joey and their 2 dogs were coming with him. He literally called it their kingdom.
Oh,
Is that not
that's
precious?
precious, yeah.
I know.
that's his perfect retirement place.
I know. Interesting
Okay.
little tidbit. As he was leaving, he took 2 real human skulls and a bunch of LSD from his office to take with him.
Well, he was retiring.
So I probably would have done that too. When they were making their trip to the new land they just bought, I guess like the official, like, here we go, we're doing this. There was like a super bad blizzard and they couldn't see, like they got stuck. And they had to spend the night in their Jeep.
On the way there.
Yeah. So, and everything was fine. The next morning, when everything settled down, there was a literal rotting dead horse in the middle of their road. Or what was going to be their road, like to their house.
Ooh, this was a movie that could be like a premonition.
Exactly.
Isn't
So
it?
people would be like, some people would be like, it's a bad sign or whatever. But they had a sense of humor and like took everything as it came. And this is why I love them so much.
Okay.
They decided they were going to name that road Dead Horse Road. So leading to their house,
Dead Horse Road.
Dead Horse Road is literally what the road is
I
called.
love that.
So they finally set out on their journey. They began to build their dream home mansion by hand.
Like,
Literally
they
just
were
them.
just building it?
By bricks.
Oh, I thought it was already built.
No, they
Oh.
just bought the land.
Oh.
So 45,000 bricks were laid, is what it said.
By them.
By them. By themselves.
Okay.
They said Dr. Scudder read a book on how to do it and he figured it out.
I have no doubt he
I
did.
don't know, dude. Genius.
Genius.
Very
Carpenter
smart.
with everything else. He's now carpenter as
Like,
well.
he is like no big deal. I just read this book. While this was going on, they lived in a small camper in their Jeep on the land.
Mm-hmm.
It took them 2 years and they were finally able to move in. They started to call it their eloquent mini castle.
Oh.
Just all of their names
I
and like
know.
how precious they are together.
Wait, this is a bad story. All right.
It is, but their love is like so precious.
Okay. I started to forget we were talking about like something bad's about to happen. 'Cause it seems so precious.
Yeah, it is. They decided that their mini castle needed a name. So as they were deciding, they noticed that all of the trees that surrounded it were bare. It was like fall and the leaves were falling off and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's where they came up with the name Corpsewood Manor. Because the trees
We're corpses.
Yeah.
Oh.
Is that not precious?
I love them.
I know. They're so creative. So it actually had nothing to do with like what happened there.
Okay.
Like-
it just had to do with like
The tree, yeah, it
just
was
how
full
it
time.
looked.
It was 2 stories. They built like this fancy outhouse and dug a well for water because there was no electricity, which seems terrible.
That seems
I was like
terrible.
trying to live with them until this happened.
Yeah. Now I'm like out.
I was like that. Okay. But they wanted to live off the grid and Dr. Scudder said he didn't want to owe anyone anything. Like he wanted He didn't want to have to pay bills. Like, he didn't want to feel like he owed.
But at what
something.
cost, man?
They were happy.
I get
they
it.
loved it.
No
They wanted to live
electricity?
I know.
That seems super
That would be
hard.
really hard for me.
Really hard.
Remember when the electric went out here and I almost left and went to a whole different state? because I
Yes, you
couldn't
did.
handle it?
In the middle of all of it. You almost
Yes.
got in your vehicle and went towards the storm.
Yeah, it was terrible. So they cooked on a wood stove and created their own vineyard, made homemade wine. They had this huge garden, like lived off the vegetables and stuff. They were beekeepers. They just literally did everything on their own. They took full advantage of where they were and lived off, like they used everything they could.
Mm-hmm.
Like with the bees, they would obviously use the honey, but they would use the wax for candles to light their home.
Oh.
So that was just one example. Joey had a huge rose garden that he like loved. He was like always out there working in the rose garden. There was a gazebo that overlooked the garden, and on top of that gazebo was a huge gargoyle that was bright pink.
Stop it.
I swear. I love them so much.
I have questions at the end of this, okay? Go ahead.
Are you going to ask if it's still there?
Yeah.
Because I'm going to go over that.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was
Yes.
going to ask. I was like, I want to see.
So that was my first thought too. I was like, we need to go. The inside of the house followed this theme. It was like decorated very gothic style, but with their flair, like
Yeah.
with the bright pink and like what they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of stained glass, just because Dr. Scudder, you know.
It was his hobby.
Yeah, a lot of, like, they loved art. So a lot of art throughout the house. There was a huge library because of how much he loved to read. I don't know what it looked like, but I imagine it's one of those ones with, like, the ladder that moves.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about?
I was thinking of Beauty and the Beast in the big library.
Ooh, yes.
Yes,
That's
that's
what
exactly
I
where mine went
imagined.
too.
Antiques everywhere. The 2 skulls he took. Just probably something we would enjoy. Like, it would be cute to us.
Yeah.
We'd probably be like, this is a really cute house. They also built a chicken coop separate from their house. It was 3 stories, so really big. It did house chickens on the first and second floor, but the very top floor was called the pink room. The pink room was where they would entertain their guests. In order to get to it, you had to climb a 40-foot ladder.
What?
Yeah.
Wait, so they just have a pink room above their chicken coop?
Yeah.
That entertains
And that's
guests.
where they entertain their guests.
Not the gazebo? Like
I don't think
on
they,
top
they
of the,
never really let people inside of their house.
I can tell because they're like, no, here we're gonna sit next to the chicken poop. Like,
Well, I think it was supposedly very nice.
oh, I imagine
From what
it-
everyone says. Like,
I
fancy.
very much imagine it was.
Yeah.
Still weird.
It is a little weird. Okay.
Oh, and they had guests. I just imagine them never having a guest again.
So they loved to entertain people.
Oh, how cool!
Yeah, they
okay.
made friends.
Okay,
Pretty
I thought
easy.
maybe they were just like by themselves.
Yeah.
No, yes.
No. I don't
Okay.
know why I said yeah, because no. They
Okay.
love to entertain.
Okay, so they're
people.
entertaining in the chicken coop
Yeah.
house. Okay,
In the pink room.
in the pink room of the chicken coop.
Yes, which consisted of all pink,
Mm-hmm.
pink shag carpets, mattresses with pink sheets. Don't know. Some people said that it was full of porn.
Mm.
When the cops made their report, they said the room was full of sex toys and objects, but we don't know. Like, no one really knows other than the people who, like, were in there, but, I mean, even if it was, like, whatever, like, you do
So
you.
basically, it's like their party room.
Pretty much,
Okay.
yeah.
It's not a normal to have. Just probably they just didn't catch it all the time. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's not a normal.
Yeah. Since they lived on all of that land, it wasn't weird for people to just, like, randomly stop by and ask permission to hunt on their property.
Mhm.
Dr. Scudder did not care. He was always like, yeah, of course, like, as long as they asked permission.
Mm-hmm.
This is how they met 17-year-old Kenneth Avery Brock. He was an avid hunter and asked them multiple times if he could hunt on their land, and of course they always said yes. Over time, they started to get to know Avery, which is what he went by,
Okay.
and they would invite him in. They would have wine and just like hang out and have a good time. It is said that there was some type of sexual encounter between Avery and the men. No one knows if this was like a one-time thing or if Avery made an advancement towards Scudder and Joey and they said no. There have been reports on both of those stories.
Okay.
From Avery. He
Avery.
made both of those separate reports.
I gotcha.
He's awful.
So basically he's saying that it did happen, but then he said, no, they withdrew my advances. Okay.
Yeah. So he goes like back and forth. Avery ends up moving in with a 30-year-old man named Samuel Tony West. He goes by Tony. Avery's only 17. So I thought this was really weird.
Okay.
Tony's a violent felon, and the place they are living is like basically an abandoned trailer.
Okay.
Like it's just not a good atmosphere. One night, Avery decided to tell Tony about these, quote, queer devil worshippers that he met. I don't know what made him do this. So I'm thinking maybe because they rejected him, like all of a sudden he's angry.
That's what I'm thinking, especially because like they're living together. Why would you say, you know what I mean?
Well, they're not together.
Oh,
so
they're
that
just living
comes up
together.
And it's very obvious, yes.
Okay, I gotcha.
So that comes up later because Tony is not happy about this.
Okay.
Because like Tony is like a straight dude living in the South, like back in the, like he's...
Okay, so Tony and Avery, they're just buddies that live together. Okay.
Supposedly
buddies that live together.
Yes, so Avery told Tony that they lived in this huge mansion. They're in the middle of nowhere, and he thinks that they're hiding this big fortune.
Oh.
And, like, Tony was pissed, dude, because, like I said, he was straight. He was living in the South. Like,
it was just a different time.
So, yeah.
It was just a different time.
He, is like, no. Like, he wasn't happy about it. On top of it, apparently Avery mentioned something about their sexual encounter. And Tony did not take that well. He started to make comments and basically, like, bully him about being gay. Mm. So Avery switched and was like, no, dude, I'm not gay. They came on to me. We need to do something about this.
Oh. Type
of situation. So, and apparently one of them said, this is like a trigger warning, they wanted to take a heated welding iron and rape Dr. Scudder with it. Like, sir, why are you so angry? What is happening? Like, they let you hunt. They're nice to you. They let you hunt. They let you drink their wine underage. Like, they're nothing but nice. So, and yeah, even, like, apparently one of the stories I read was that Avery said that, and Tony was like, yeah, we can probably just rob them and leave.
Right.
Like, you're doing too much. Like, no. What are you doing? So.
I could see that too. Cause like, why would he be like, let's go rape him? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's too much.
That's a really weird word for a straight man to say. Like, let's go rape that man.
Avery continued to hang out at Scudder's. He wanted to, like, his plan was to get the layout of the house. Mm-hmm. But Dr. Scudder and Joey only let guests into the pink room. Oh. So that plan failed. Like, he could never get into the house. On December 12th, 1982, Tony and Avery picked up two teens. One was Tony's nephew, Joey Wells, and the other was a girl named Teresa Hudgens. Teresa and Joey were on their first date.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna sit here for a second.
Yeah. They decided to go out joyriding. Like, they wanted to join Tony and Avery in this joyride.
Poor Teresa just sitting there probably like, look how cool I am, just hanging out with you guys. I'm so much fun.
Yeah.
Look at me, I allow joyriding.
It gets so bad. They made a quick stop at Avery's mom's house to pick up a gun. He told his mom he was, like, going out hunting, so it really wasn't even weird. Like, a second thought. Yeah. They then asked Joey and Teresa if they wanted to go to that Corpsewood Manor place and party. At this time, Dr. Scudder and Joey and their house was pretty well known to locals. So they all knew, like, if you said, like, Corpsewood Manor, like, you knew, everyone knew what they were talking about.
What they were doing, yeah.
Joey, of course, was like, yes, that sounds amazing, because they're, like, underage and party, of course. But Teresa was kind of nervous because of all the rumors she'd heard, like, about devil worshipping and all that. So she was a little more nervous. And then, have you ever heard of Toodaloo?
Like, Toodaloo.
Toodaloo. So apparently, it's a combination of paint thinner, glue, and alcohol.
Wait, so Toodaloo's like... Toodaloo's like, okay, so...
Like a thing you huff.
Okay, so Is that where the phrase toodaloo comes from?
I don't know.
I need to know that.
We'll look it up.
Because I do that all the time because I lose weird words. Like, toodaloo. Like, why? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to look it up. I don't know.
I want to know.
Yeah, probably.
Toodaloo.
Because that sounds like you're about to toodaloo right on out of this. I'm cracking myself up. Okay. Anyway, yes, you huff it. They were huffing it the whole time. Just toodaloo. When they got to Corpsewood Manor, Dr. Scudder came out and greeted them happily, like so excited.
Oh.
He asked them to bum a cigarette and told them to go on up to the pink room. He had to go get something. He would be right back. It makes me sad because these are just like strangers showing up with Avery, and he's just like,
hey guys, let's hang out.
Yeah. He went and got some of his homemade wine, and everything was going well. They were all having fun. Out of nowhere, Avery was like, I'll be right back. I have to go get something. And they were like, okay, cool, have fun. When he came back, he was holding a gun, but like casually, and then sat down. Mm-hmm. Again, it's like the South, like people
not
are
weird.
Just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, not weird.
This made me so sad because I feel like this really shows Dr. Scudder's personality. When Avery walked in with the gun, Dr. Scudder was like, bang, bang, like jokingly.
Oh.
Is that not precious? Like, he was having a good time.
He was just having, like, the time of his life. He'd finally reached retirement where he could just be himself.
Yeah. And he was just joking around like, bang, bang, when he walked in with a gun. So Teresa later ended up telling police that he was, like, nervous. Like, he seemed like this was his way of diffusing the situation because he did get a little nervous when he walked in with the gun, but still, like a humor mask.
Yep.
It made me really
Try not
sad.
to run the party.
Yeah. Avery just laughed it off with him, like it was no big deal, and they all went back to drinking. After a while, Dr. Scudder got up to do something, and at that time, Avery jumped up and grabbed him by his hair and pulled a knife out of his boot and held it against his throat.
So did he, like, try to pull it off and be like, party foul?
No. But
I just wanted to have a happy ending.
I know. Teresa and Joey were like, I'm sorry, like, no thank you. We're on our first date here, just trying to enjoy our toodaloo. So, and tried to go down that ladder, but Tony stopped them. And he basically told them, if you don't come back and stay, we're going to kill you too. Avery.
So they already knew they were going to kill him. Like,
yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Avery started yelling at them and asking them where the money was. I don't know why I'm saying them, at Dr. Scudder, and asking him where the money was. He threw him onto the mattress and ripped the sheets and started to gag Dr. Scudder with it. He then cut his coat into strips and tied him up with it. Still the whole time asking where the money is and demanding to know who else is in the house. The sad part is they literally had no money. Dr. Scudder, he had like a small inheritance, but it was in the bank, like obviously not in the house.
Right.
The rest of their money went into their house, like their home.
Yeah, they didn't need anything
like
anymore.
they were happy with what they had. He told Avery that Joey and his 2 mastiffs were the only other ones in the house, like in the actual house, not the chicken coop. And Avery said that he was going to take care of that situation. According to Avery, when he entered the house, Joey was in the kitchen and he reached for a gun, like trying to act like he was
self-defense.
Yeah. That was a lie, obviously. Investigators ruled it out quickly. What really happened was Avery went into the house and started yelling at Joey to get out of the house. Right when Joey looked up at him, he shot him 4 times. I know. He then shot the 2 bull mastiffs who were sleeping in their beds in front of the fire.
Stop it.
Can you even? He tried to act like he was just like randomly shooting into the house and just the bullets were just flailing about and just accidentally hit the 2 bull mastiffs and Joey.
Yeah.
But
pretty precision wise.
Literally, Avery is a giant pile of feces.
Yeah, he sounds like it. I don't like him one bit.
He needs to come up with better stories because they're stupid.
They didn't even plan it out. I mean, like, they cut up his own jacket to tie him up with.
Literally stupid. Scudder heard the gunshots. He's still in the pink room while this is going on. Avery came back and said, quote, "Well, I killed that man and those dogs." They started to lead Dr. Scudder back into the main house to find the money that wasn't really there.
Mm-hmm.
Right when Scudder walked into the house, he saw Joey, who was shot in the kitchen, but they found him in between the kitchen and hallway. So they think he was still alive.
Trying to drag out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Teresa said that Scudder let out the most awful sound she's ever heard when he saw Joey. Just like this moan, like he's still gagged, but just this really long, agonizing moan. Like, that made me so sad. Tony threw him down on the couch, still yelling at him and asking him for his money. He then asked him where his soldering iron was. So I guess they were going to go through with the plan. I don't know. But like Scudder was like, I guess they took the gag out of him, but Scudder was like, we don't have one because we don't have electricity.
Yeah.
So ultimately they couldn't go through with that.
Good.
Teresa said that Scudder stood up and shuffled over to Joey's body. Tony was yelling at him, telling him to sit back down and that he will kill him if he doesn't. She said that Scudder got right over to Joey's body, turned around, looked right at them, and said, quote, I asked for this. Those were his final words. Tony shot Scudder in the head 2 to 3 times. Scudder tried to say something and stand back up, but Tony shot him one more time, which made him fall into one of the bookcases. He then tried again to say something, and Tony shot him 3 more times. Tony told Avery and Joey to go upstairs and steal anything of value that they could find. Teresa was just sitting there dying. Like, what is happening?
Why would they even bring them?
I don't know. Their final finding and what they left with, a bag of dimes and nickels and a couple of other small things. So it was all for nothing. Literally, this is all for no reason. I read somewhere that they tried to take Scudder's harp, but it wouldn't fit in the car.
Wow. How would they even sell that?
I don't know.
I mean, it's pretty distinguishable, but okay, go ahead.
I don't know. They ended up stealing Scudder's Jeep to escape with. A couple days later, a friend of theirs was stopping by, a friend of Dr. Scudder and Joey's, was stopping by and saw bullet holes in the kitchen door and decided to call police. Mm-hmm. Around this same time, Teresa came forward and was like, dude, I need to tell you about this date I went on the other night because...
Worst date ever.
Yeah. Avery and Tony made it to somewhere in Mississippi. Then they decided they needed to switch their car out because people were going to be looking for that one. A man named Kirby Phelps was a Navy lieutenant that was also in the same area. Tony decided to take him by gunpoint into the woods. He told Avery they were just going to tie him to a tree and take his car. Tony shot him in the head.
Tony.
So he's escalating like very quickly.
He is. He's going on a spree now to try to escape.
Police started their investigation at Corpsewood Manor, and immediately when they got there, they saw how it was decorated, how all of the art on the wall was, and like the stigma kicked in. So, which... Like, they had mentioned at one point, like, a book on the Church of Satan that they found.
Oh.
Which bothered me because he has an entire giant library. And we didn't hear about any of the other...
Except for that book.
Books. You know what I mean? So, there is one piece of art that blew my mind.
What?
They found it while investigating. Apparently, months before all of this happened, Joey woke up in the middle of the night because he had a nightmare. It was about Dr. Scudder. He told Scudder what happened, and Scudder was like so upset about it that he decided to paint it, like art therapy.
Uh-huh.
It was a self-portrait of himself at his death. And in the painting, it was himself gagged with 5 bullet holes in his head.
Stop it.
And that's how he actually died.
I literally got cold chills.
I swear on everything. So, and they asked Avery and Tony about it, like, did you see this, and try to like
mimic it?
Yeah, and they said both of them said they've never like seen that painting. Mm-mm. So the day after the investigation, the pink room, that chicken coop, burned down. know. That hurt my heart so bad. Like, they're gone, and now you guys are, like...
destroying their stuff, too.
Yeah. So, on December 20th, 1982, Avery turned himself in.
Really?
On Christmas Day, 5 days later, Tony turned himself in. Tony had zero remorse. He said, quote, "All I can say is they were devils and I killed them. That's how I feel about it." At the start of this trial, Joey and Scudder were being labeled as homosexual devil worshippers. People ran with this story and, like, the rumors started to fly. They were made out to be the bad people because of their lifestyle.
Right.
So... it was like they forgot that Scudder and Joey were humans and, like, victims.
Mm-hmm. That they were murdered for no reason.
Yes. Defense attorneys tried to make it out like Scudder put LSD in the wine, and the 4 visitors were, like, went nuts and killed them.
Right.
So it wasn't really on purpose. It was because they were high. But Teresa was not having that. She was like, there were no drugs other than Toodaloo, and I drank the same wine as everyone else did. None of them had LSD in their system, and the bottles were tested and it was negative.
Okay.
So ultimately they could not prove the LSD theory.
Well, yeah.
Avery was found guilty on all counts and sentenced to 3 life terms.
Okay. I almost thought you were going to say 3 years. Okay,
yeah,
go
3
ahead.
life terms. He is still currently in prison at Georgia State Prison.
Ooh.
Tony was found guilty and sentenced to death by electric chair.
Okay.
This was overturned, and he is still currently in prison.
Okay.
They
It's been,
had
what, 50 years?
It's been a long time.
It's been a long time they've been in
I
prison.
tried to look up, like, where they are now, and I didn't see anything about their death.
Okay. That
So,
usually means they're
or
still
being
alive.
released. Yeah. Mm-hmm. They had a small private funeral for Scudder and Joey for their close friends and family, and they scattered Joey's ashes in his rose garden. Oh, I know. I'm going to post some pictures, but Corpsewood Manor is still there. Like the main house. Mm-hmm. I don't think anyone's lived in it since. Like, when you look at pictures of it, it's abandoned, and, like, people will hike out to it sometimes.
Yeah.
Because it's really far out there. And people say that now it's, like, haunted. Like, you're known to hear gunshots, dogs barking, a harp playing, like, shattering glass.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Listen.
yeah.
Listen, I don't like that. Okay? Because I don't feel like they had any unfinished business left.
What do you mean?
Like, the 2 of them, they didn't have any unfinished business left. They severely loved each other, and then they left and went together.
I know.
You know what I mean?
So,
But maybe, I don't know. Now I'm getting back to religion. So who knows? Okay.
Yeah.
It's haunted. It's definitely haunted.
Yeah, so this story haunts this area, like, to this day.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, when you see pictures of it now, it's like...
Is it shambles?
It's not it's just, like, overgrown with, like, plants and stuff. So, like, what you would imagine.
After 50 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the story of Corpsewood Manor.
That was...
And it's sad.
It's sad. I feel like I got to know somebody.
Story.
It really is like a love story.
It's because those are people we would hang out with.
It is. It very much is.
So, yeah.
I've never met them, but I really miss them.
I know. So, that's why I was so drawn to it, and I was just kind of waiting for a right time to, like, go over that story. But
yeah.
And I really think we should visit it.
I do too. I really do too. That was my whole thing.
I think we should.
I was thinking about it the whole time, like, I wonder how...
I'm
is
not
the gargoyle still there?
so much of a hiker, though.
No,
Seems like a lot.
We'll drop in there, or we'll, like, get a four-wheeler or something.
Ooh, that sounds fun.
Yes.
Okay, if you guys want us to cover a certain case or have any ideas of someone you want us to look into, just send us an email, murderwordspodcast@gmail.com. We're also on Facebook and Instagram. And our website is murderwords.com. I think that's it.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Oh, wait.
Oh.
Okay, hold on. Let's... Toodaloo, everybody.
Toodaloo. That's going to be our new byline.
Toodaloo.
All right, we'll talk
I've been holding that since the middle of it.
All right, you guys, we will talk to you next week.
Bye, Toodaloo.